Oh, just a second.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the FPL Banger Show. My name is Siva, joined once again by Sam. How does it feel, Sam, to finally be back?
Feels good. I had a good break away from FPL. I did not play the Club World Cup, Fantasy Club World Cup, or whatever it is called. I know you did, Siva, and you did really well. So congrats to you. Why is that not in your bio?
You'll see our bio's been updated with ranks. I mean, Sam, also a very decent rank. I like that. FPL has
A very vague, just top 10%. But it's all right. People don't follow me. People don't listen to me for my expert FPL knowledge.
Well, people who have listened long enough know that if I have a good season, you have a bad season. So I'm sure it's coming around. Karma's got it in for me this season. Club World Cup Fantasy, absolute waste of time. I was doing very well, top 100 until the final, and then I had 8 PSG players, and Chelsea decided they actually are quite good at football. And I must say, Todd Boehly is a genius because Chelsea have done some really, really amazing transfer business. They've convinced Arsenal to spend 50 million on Madueke.
That is my biggest annoyance. Like I want to hit on Chelsea and their transfer policy because they're just buying everyone. But at the same time, they also seem to have no problem selling their players for good prices. I don't know what's going on there. Some kind of money washing operation. But you can't knock it, right?
It's money laundering in plain sight, but I mean, hands up, they're just too good at it, 30 million for Dewsbury Hall. Everton apparently are signing him. Like Chelsea signed him, never played him, and they're getting all their money back.
Yeah,
United and Arsenal can only dream of this. But enough about that, Sam. So, Sam, I hope you're all caught up with all the FPL rule changes, but shall we briefly run through them for the benefit of those who have pieced out over the last 2 months?
Go ahead, Siva.
Okay, I'll try. Because there's been a lot, right? So, for starters, they have doubled the chips. So we have not just 2 wildcards, we've got 2 bench boosts, 2 triple captains, 2 free hits. I think the slogan was the more points, the more fun. Very optimistic stuff from official FPL.
How do you feel about that, by the way? Let's break it down as we go along. Yeah.
I don't really care, I guess. I think one thing it will do is sort of make everything more templatey because everyone will know, okay, we've got 2 chips, so we'll all play the first chip at the same time. We'll all play the second chip at the same time. Whereas last year, we only had 1 triple captain. And so some went early, some went late. And there was a bit more variation. I guess now by introducing 2 chips and then forcing you to play them in small windows, game week 1 to game week 19, and then the other in the second window, probably doesn't really help. But it is what it is.
And I feel that there might be more variations. Purely a mental thing. Like, previously, you're always, I want to save my triple captain for a particular, when the double game weeks come along. Bench boost, the same. But now that there's 2, maybe psychologically people are more open to taking risks. Like, I'll trade on this thing. I'm going to get another one later in the season anyway.
Yeah, maybe. I like your optimism, Sam. Let's try being optimistic about it. I will say that it's made me feel a lot more keen to bench boost in game week 1, which we may explore later. No assistant manager, we hardly knew ye, but some people really hated it. I was agnostic about it, but it is gone. Extra transfers for AFCON. This is the most controversial change, I think. Everybody gets 5 extra transfers. Don't know who asked for this. There's only 1 African player in any of our teams, but thank you, I guess.
Onana, right? Is that?
Yes, not Amadou, as he will. My name is not even Andre, mate. So, yes. And
I don't like that one, by the way. Just throwing out my thoughts there. I think that is some utter woke TikTok generation kind of FPL rules going on. I don't like it. I like the old stuff.
It's a curious change because I assume these changes are made to keep people engaged, right? What's the biggest issue with fantasy football? All your casual friends, first week, very excited. Second week, very excited. 10th week, forgot to log in. 20 weeks in, oh, it's too late. My team's ruined. Nobody was saying AFCON was ruining their team. So that is such a weird thing to fix. Like, I don't know if you really wanted to go that way, maybe 3rd wild card, summer refresh, winter refresh of prices, something, this seems like a very weird thing to do, but I'm not gonna knock it. I think
Yeah.
they're trying, right? This is like, as all husbands can relate, Sam. Sometimes all you can do is just try. Uh,
Yeah.
um, point scoring changes are quite extensive, and I'm going to be honest, we're not going to cover all of them, but basically, they have reduced or modified the bonus for penalty goals. So in theory, people like Salah shouldn't immediately snatch all bonus just because they scored a pen. Goal line clearances bonuses have increased, I guess, for your players who expected goal line clearance is high. Good luck to you. You can find that out. Penalty saves bonus has gone down. Bonus points system changes as well for a bunch of things, including defensive contributions. And I think this is the biggest thing we're going to talk about right now is defenders now get 2 extra points if they make 10 defensive contributions. And this can be
Are we
DEFCONs.
referring as DEFCONs from now? That seems to be the preferred term.
I like it because the other option is saying CBITs, clearances, blocks, interceptions, and tackles. But that,
I've seen people say DCs, defensive contributions, DCs, but it doesn't roll off the tongue as nicely as DEFCON. I like DEFCON. Let's go with that.
No, I like DEFCONs. And so DEFCON defenders, right? 10 clearances. And then midfielders need 12 of these DEFCONs, which includes ball recoveries, which is a very complicated definition, which I won't get into. But basically, there are 12 for midfielders. That's the cap they need to hit to get these 2 points. And with that in mind, Sam, I will say some things about FPL that they've done well over the summer is they have put a lot of work into their stats. And so this is from official FPL, right? Top scoring defenders with DEFCONs added. As you can see on the screen, Milenkovic now goes up to 171. Murillo, 38 points, 168. Van Dijk, a decent amount of DEFCONs, 22, but that makes him the 3rd highest scoring defender. Gvardiol's 4th. Nathan Collins, 5 million defender. Danny Munoz, a couple of DEFCONs, 14 points DEFCONs. Alexander Arnold, no longer with us, so not relevant. Tarkowski, the highest defender for DEFCONs.
Monster. Yeah.
DEFCON monster, 5.5 million. 44 DEFCONs for Tarkowski, which would have given him 149 points. And Maxence Lacroix, 5 million defender, also doing very well. 1 point behind Tarkowski if DEFCONs were added. That's, I think, for defenders. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Sam.
No, go ahead. Go ahead, please. Let's discuss it fully.
I was just going to show midfielders because I found this very interesting because you don't really think of budget mids or midfielders in general and DEFCONs. But as a comparison, right, you can see on the screen, Mitoma, somebody with no DEFCONs, 145 points. Elliot Anderson from Nottingham Forest, 5.5 million midfielder. If he had been awarded DEFCONs last season, he'd be 2 points behind Mitoma on 143. Caicedo, 140. Like every time your friend picked N'Golo Kante, right? Because they were casual and they knew who Kante was. That's like a legit strategy now.
Yeah. It reminds me a lot of Champions League fantasy, where defenders and midfielders do get. Or is it just defenders? But anyway, they get more. So it rewards.
I think midfielders get ball recoveries as well. Yeah.
It rewards picking DMs. It rewards picking center backs. I think it does help to balance that the biasness, I guess, that we've always had towards wing backs. However, it is different because in Champions League they get 3 DCs, DEFCONs or whatever. Whereas here it's like it's a target that they have to hit, right? So it's all or nothing for them.
Yeah, and it's capped. Like you don't get more points because you got 20 DEFCONs. You just get the 2.
Yep. I think it really brings center backs into people's mind, which I always like. I like that center backs are getting the recognition they deserve now. However, I do feel that they have priced it accordingly. So players with higher DEFCONs are higher priced than center backs that don't get a lot of DEFCON points.
I will say yes. Pricing, I think, has been very good this year. It is hard to find like a draft where you get all the OP players in one draft. It is very balanced this season. So full compliments on that. And with that in mind, Sam, I think we're doing one pot now. We'll try to do another pot before Gaming 1, obviously. But as of today, right, we've most of the preseason friendlies out of the way, except for maybe the last round and the Community Shield. With that in mind, defenders. taking it from the premium side, right? You can see only Van Dijk and Gvardiol even make this list after DEFCONs are added. So do premium defenders even make our drafts at this stage?
Yeah. I think that's the simple answer. Some. What is your threshold for a premium defender?
Okay, let's start off with the 6 million guys. Van Dijk and Gvardiol.
I'll put 1 in, and that's it. But again, I feel that in Game Week 1, when everyone's drafting their teams, at the start of FPL, we always come into this thinking like as though we will never be able to make a transfer, right? Like everyone's so focused on getting their draft right, as though these are the players we're going to have the entire season. Bear in mind that a lot of these players, like from so-called lesser teams, right, the non-big teams, they go through patches. And that's what contribute to their total points. So, of course, when you look at it right now, Milenkovic, 170 points. That's great. Will you really keep him the entire season to get the entire 170 points? Are you looking for the patches of good fixtures in which that's where most of his points will come from, right? So I would go for a premium, but only more as a fixture play.
Okay, interesting. Because I feel like defenders is the one slot I really don't want to be making transfers in. So I kind of want to lock in these guys until wildcard 1, which I'm thinking maybe at least game week 8. Optimistic, because every year I say this and then I wildcard by game week 3. But you ideally want to have, I think, like minimum 6 weeks with your players. And all things being equal, I feel like Liverpool's fixtures for 6, Bournemouth, Newcastle, Arsenal, Burnley, Everton, Palace. It's a 50-50, bit of a mixed bag. Forest, on the other hand, Brentford, Palace, West Ham, Arsenal, Burnley, Sunderland. That takes you all the way up to game week 7. Of course, you have to assume that Nottingham Forest are as good as they were last season. So I guess the next question is, do you think they will be as good as they were last season, or there has to be a drop-off because they're in Europe?
Yeah, but honestly, there's no way to answer that, right? How many times, especially with, again, so-called lesser teams, how many times in our history of playing FPL over the years have we seen a team be really good one year and really bad the next? It's really hard to predict. We have preseason, but again, preseason counts for nothing. I mean, if you're going by preseason form, Forest has not scored a preseason goal in 5 friendlies.
But they have 4 0-0 draws.
I know. So it's really hard to tell, right? That's if you look at it at a glance. Then if you go deeper, you'll see they're rotating their formations, trying out new formations, rotating their players and things like that. You cannot use preseason as an indicator into actual form. I think we've fallen into that trap many, many times with many, many players. Very rarely it actually does translate when the season actually starts.
Fair. I mean, all fair points. It's easy to get carried away by preseason. Okay, so you've got probably one of Van Dijk or Gvardiol, which I think is fair. I'd probably lean more towards Van Dijk because I feel like Gvardiol will spend most of his time at centre back this season. And I feel like his returns here, by definition, would have been inflated because he was playing a lot of left back, which...
That's true. But at the same time, his DC points will definitely be higher as a centre back.
Good point. Fair. Debatable, right? Because we kind of need to see how this works with City in particular.
But in theory, he should be getting a lot more DC as a centre back compared to what he was getting last season when he was playing more as a fullback, wing back.
Yeah, and City's fixtures are pretty decent. Like they don't play a big team, I guess, until like Arsenal in week 5. So that's pretty decent. All right. So 5.5s, you're not that keen. Tarkowski. Let's talk Tarkowski. Because so he's been priced like a proper premium defender. Does he live up to that?
I'm very, very reluctant to get in anyone from Everton. And that's his only against him. Although there is argument for getting players from lesser teams. So for example, a premium player, Van Dijk, Guardiola, they won't get many DCs simply because they don't defend that much, right? Their teams are always on their attack. Players from lesser teams, more defensive teams should get more. But at the same time, because it's capped, the most they can get is 2, right? over the course of a season, I don't know how many times do you expect him to achieve that? 1/3
Well,
of the games he play, half of the games he play.
for Tarkowski, I mean, the stats, I mean, I did the numbers right. He had DCs in DEFCONs in more than 60% of his games, which is insane. I mean, but he's an outlier. He's definitely on his own. And again, you have to sort of factor in a lot of that was under Daesh. So does David Moyes want to be the kind of manager who continues to invite that level of pressure? Because obviously Daesh's setup would have been slightly different. Again, so many uncertainties, right? And I get your, yeah, I totally feel you. Like, I feel very uncomfortable playing 5.5 million for an Everton defender. I'm a little more comfortable paying 5.5 for Murillo, because to me, just my headspace is okay. Forest feel, this is recency bias, but Forest feel like a better team. Whereas I don't know, Everton just doesn't feel like I want to be having a 5.5 million defender from Everton.
Yeah. And for just 0.5 more, you can get a premium defender. There's so many options, right? We don't know at the start, but for example, Ait Nuri could be really, really good. Yes, he might not get many DEFCONs, but a lot of attacking returns. But we don't know at Game Week 1. There's still a lot of uncertainty. As the season goes by, though, I got a feeling that 0.5 difference will feel very, very worth. It's worth paying the extra 0.5 just to get a premium defender. That's my problem with a lot of these 5.5 options. They're too close to the premiums.
Yeah, I agree with you. If you're just 0.5, it feels like it's too close to premiums, and also probably too close to the cheap guys. You can save. So coming down from the 5.5s, because I don't think, well, apart from the Forest and everything, guys, Pedro Porro, not a DEFCON monster, new manager, new setup. In theory, Thomas Frank must make this team more solid, because I mean, anybody has to make them more solid than they were under Ange. And they've signed João Palhinha, so top defensive midfielder. Like we all saw him at Fulham, very good. Should help make things a bit more solid. But again, 5.5 for a Spurs defender somehow feels a bit of a leap.
Yeah. There's a lot of money balling to be done, I feel. So is a 5.5 defender worth more than a 4.5 defender who might get more clean sheets? Less DCs, maybe, but more clean sheets? Or equal number of clean sheets? How much do you value 1 million, right?
I'd be very curious to tell if you can tell me who are these 4.5 million defenders, because we come down from Porro, okay, and then the 5 million bracket, there's not many picks. It's Nathan Collins, who you can see on the screen. Again, you must be reluctant to go in Brentford at this time. New manager, they've lost their keeper, they've lost their best player. It does feel scary, and they've just put in the set piece coach as the manager, having lost the entire backroom staff. So Brentford feels a bit unsteady. And then the other 5 million defenders are Lacroix, okay, 5 million for a Palace defender, that's possible, or Romero at Spurs. Nothing really inspiring.
How many red cards do you want?
Well, he's got to be more disciplined under Frank, I feel. But famous last words, I think. Lacroix, again, it's Palace, right? And Palace have Europe again. Not sure which European competition, because I think that's still under appeal. They should get an answer in a few days' time. But they have Europe, and it's a very small squad. Oliver Glasner will have to rotate. In fact, between like Game Week 1 and 2, they're scheduled to have a Conference League playoff, which basically determines if they even get in. And so that's like a must-win game. Imagine like going all the way, winning the FA Cup, and then you don't even get into Europe at the end of this. So again, doesn't feel like I want to go Palace.
I have Aina, Ola Aina. So again, it's how much do you value that 0.5? I could pay 0.5 and get one of the centre backs with more DEFCONs than Aina. Aina though brings more attacking returns. Will it balance out in the end? And in factoring the 0.5 difference.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think with Aina, you're betting on him scoring those worldies. But if he does, fair play to you, because it's not like as if his attacking returns were consistent. They were very much like shoot one from 30 yards, it happens to go in. I'm surprised you didn't mention Danny Munoz.
5.5 just feels a bit too much for me. Although if he keeps up what he did last season, it'll be great. But again, I'm just going in with a bit of skepticism and cautiousness, I guess. Based on our experiences, people like Munoz, people like Robinson, they don't get 10 assists or goal contributions every season, right?
I think Munoz can as the season progresses, but it's again one of those things with Palace. Maybe around game week 4 is when I will go back to Munoz. I just kind of want to see how they cope with the rotations and the two games a week. Although I will say, out of all the players, like Danny Munoz looks like the most durable. His minutes last season are very good, so he strikes me as the kind of guy who will just run himself into the ground. Like I don't think there'll be any issues there. So opening 3 fixtures: Chelsea, Forest, Villa. It's not the worst, but it's not inspiring for 5.5, especially when you have other picks who you could get for cheaper. We didn't mention anybody from Arsenal or United, so I take
The
it we're not
opening
interested.
fixtures is just too bad, I think. Arsenal is playing was it United, Newcastle, City?
United, Leeds, Liverpool, Forest, City, Newcastle up to game week 6.
So,
Yeah,
like one of the worst opening fixtures you can get. Open set of fixtures. The first fixture, may turn out really well for them, but I think everyone will probably go in only after game week 7. So I don't foresee a lot of Arsenal players in most people's teams.
Yeah. So I guess that takes us down to budget defenders, because I think again with Chelsea, well, Cucurella, but do you want to pay 6 million for Cucurella?
Yeah, Chelsea, I think I got a feeling that they will, become a lot more solid this year and be good picks in people's teams. The problem is we don't know who's going to start yet. Once they do settle on the formation, there's a lot of gems there because for a bunch of players who are just 5, right? Chalobah, Colwill, Gusto, Hato. We just don't know yet. Once we do know, I got a feeling a lot of people will be jumping onto them.
Well, I've had Sanchez as my keeper in most of my drafts. It seems like they have, for a team that has spent £1 billion on 50 players, they seem to have decided that the best keeper they can find in the world is Robert Sanchez. And who am I to argue? He seems to be making saves. He had a run of clean sheets at the end of last season. He's 5 mil, so he's cheaper than any other premium keeper, right? Cheaper than Allison, cheaper than Raya, cheaper than Edison, and looks to be fairly nailed. I think 5 million for a team that's top 4, you'd expect. I think that's pretty decent.
Yeah. I think we haven't talked about keepers, but I do think he's a solid keeper pick.
I mean, keepers will take us 30 seconds, Sam. We can do it now. I mean, the selection is really awful, right? You got Sells at 5 mil, Sanchez at 5 mil. The only decent 4.5 I would even touch is Kelleher, but then Kelleher's ownership is like 37%. So if he doesn't keep like 3 clean sheets off the bat, you already can see the price drop coming.
That's true. He does look like the best 4.5 keeper.
He's the only 4.5 mate, unless you go down to the promoted teams or like Jose Sa.
Yeah, I mean, you got people like Petrovic, yep. But will he displace Neto immediately? He will.
Neto's apparently linked to a move back to Brazil.
Oh,
I think I read it today morning.
And yeah, you have people like Verbruggen, again, possible. A lot of possible options, but not necessarily anyone I would start the season with.
For me, 0.5, I'd pay the extra on Sanchez. I think that is fair. Chelsea's starting run is really decent. They don't play top 4 team until game week 7, Liverpool. So that's very decent.
Yeah, I went for Sells, just letting you know.
Fair. Yeah. We haven't discussed this, so it's impressive that we have managed to avoid picking any of the same players so far. We'll see how this continues. Okay, let's talk 4.5 million defenders. Coming back to defenders, because I'm very excited about some 4.5 million defenders, Sam.
All right, hit me with your 4.5 players.
Okay, most exciting for me is a Senegalese international who just joined West Ham. Okay.
Diouf.
El Hadj Malik Diouf. I assume his parents have named him after the legend. El Hadj Diouf, famously known for flopping at Liverpool, spitting, also came to play in Malaysia at the end of his career. So, and went missing, I think, after a short time. So Malik Diouf, West Ham left back, signed from Slavia Prague. West Ham have a good track record of getting people from Slavia Prague. They got Souček, they got Kufal. 27 games last season in the Czech League, 7 goals and 2 assists for a left back.
And has been pretty impressive in preseason from what I've read.
Yes, has looked good in preseason. 2 assists against Bournemouth. So set up the first goal and then got the assist for the second. But looks properly attacking, left back, like natural wing back. Potter's playing 3 at the back as he usually does. So 4.5 million. The fixtures are not great, right? So West Ham have a very good opening fixture, but then after it quickly becomes kind of bad. Chelsea, Forest, Spurs, Palace, Everton, mixed bag. But 4.5 million, to me, somebody who's attacking, takes a shot at goal, I see nothing to lose here. And his ownership's way less than Wan-Bissaka, who at 30%, again, kind of puts me off because I don't think Wan-Bissaka is a natural attacker. I think his attacking returns, before last season, he had 2 goals in like 6 years.
Yeah. As an MU fan, I know that very well, Siva.
Yeah. So this feels like much more natural. And also Diouf doesn't have serious competition, whereas Wan-Bissaka, to be fair, they have signed Kyle Walker-Peters.
Mm-hmm. I like Konsa. Konsa is surprisingly 4.5. Villa has pretty good opening fixtures as well. So I do like how Konsa looks.
He's in my draft right now. I like Konsa. I think one of those solid, if he can stay fit, you get a decent amount for 4.5. Not many DEFCONs, but it's a steady defense, you would think.
Other than that, who else do you have, Siva?
Mickey van der Ven.
I have Van der Ven as well. It's my... Yeah.
So now we're converging. We're both definitely quite cheap here. But, I mean, he's made of biscuits, so I'm a bit worried. He was injured for most of last season. But after that goal line clearance in the Europa final, I mean, how can you not? And 4.5, Spurs defense. I think Thomas Frank, I mean, you tell me, Sam, but I feel like Thomas Frank is probably the best manager they could have got. Like, I would have thought he would have gotten the United job earlier, but this is what he gets. And I think he will do a good job.
Yeah, I agree. So, in theory, they should be a lot more solid at the back with Thomas Frank. Van der Ven, 4.5, starting defender, pretty much nailed, if not injured, I would say. Like one of their better defenders. So, yeah.
And beyond that, I don't think there is anyone else left to talk about, right? Like maybe Chris Gehi, too uncertain. You don't know whether he's going to stay or go.
Well, if he moves to Liverpool and starts at 4.5.
If he starts, right? Like I feel like he won't dislodge Konate overnight. That'll take some time.
Yeah, but you can just wait for Konate to get injured. So shouldn't take too long.
And I mean, Bournemouth have some interesting picks, but because they play Liverpool away first week, but they've got Truffert, new left back, looks pretty decent. They've got some options. Senesi, 4.5.
Yeah. I mean, there are options scattered. It's just I don't think any of us will be confident going with any of them at the start of the season, right? I mean, Chelsea have some. I mean, they have so many defenders. They have a bunch of 5.0 defenders. They have a bunch of 4.5 defenders who may or may not. I don't know. I don't really know who will be their actual starting lineup. But there may be.
Yeah, it's the reason why I have Sanchez, because I just don't want to figure out the outfielders. I will say one last name we did mention at the 5 million bracket is Keane Lewis Potter. So Brentford. Now, I'm not going to start with him. I want to see how it goes. But he played left back last season. He should not be playing left back this season. Rico Henry is back. Aaron Hickey is back. So he should play left wing. All things going according to plan. And if he does, then suddenly cheat code OOP, depending on how good Brentford end up being. But he's on set pieces and they're being managed by the set piece coach now. So should be good.
Yeah. You also have Brighton. Brighton has a bunch of defenders at 4.5 who, again, fixtures are really mixed. So I'm not sure how many people would start with them. But there's some potential there.
Yeah. De Kuiper, I think, is the one that's interesting. Maxime De Kuiper. But again, one of those we don't know if he'll start right off the bat or he'll have to work his way in. Same thing we had with Kadioglu last season. Yep. I don't trust Fabian Hertzler. He lies, he rotates, I mean, so I don't think I will have any Brighton players as it stands.
Yeah. Other than that, that's it. Unless you want to go for one of, they are United defenders, I guess. Again, probably not starting the season with them, but if things do look good moving forward,
I'm very
have
interested in Dogu.
yeah, Dogu or even Diego Leon, who has looked pretty good in the few games he's played in preseason. Whoever starts there, 4.5. Euro again is a really good player, unfortunately injuries, but if he's earns a place again, 4.5.
Since you brought United, I think that because we're not going to talk about 4.0 defenders, they all suck. I mean, it's either one of the Burnley guys or Rodon. You know what you're paying for. Let's talk about mids. And I jumped ahead here. You've got the data here. These are the projected goal scorers for the season from Rob TFPL, mids and forwards, by and large here. Because you mentioned United. Let's talk about Man United. Because I think Bruno Fernandes, I need to know if this is real or not. Because I see him in a lot of drafts. And my first instinct was, makes sense. It's Bruno Fernandes. He should get some DEFCONs because he likes to track back and tackle, and he just likes to track back as the game progresses, hold on to the lead. He's on pens, he's on set pieces. United have signed a lot of good players, on paper at least, so he should be better this season. And he's looked good in preseason. But then again, it's Man United. The fixtures are not great. The opening fixtures are okay. And he's 9 million. That feels a lot to invest in a team that was near the relegation zone.
As a United fan, I'm cautiously optimistic. So I've had Bruno or Cunha in a lot of my drafts. I think I usually don't like to get players who newly move into a team because I always feel there's a period of transition and things like that. I thought maybe I'll make an exception for Cunha because he joined so early. He basically has a full preseason, and that should increase your chances of starting right off the bat. Plus, United have no one else. Then, after watching a few of their preseason games, I thought, maybe I'll pay the extra 0.5 for Bruno, who is more central to everything, still on pens. Honestly, I think one thing start clicking, Bruno, Mbeumo, and Cunha should be pretty good options. I mean, especially Mbeumo and Cunha are only 8, right? However, last night, I thought about it a lot more, and I'm like, let me not be a foolishly optimistic United fan and go back to being a pessimistic United fan. And I decided to, bin all my United players in my squad. I don't think it's worth the risk starting with them. Yeah, they may come good, but again, with pretty tough fixtures, I would say. It's not worth the risk. Now, if they had a good run of fixtures opening, then yeah, maybe you can, roll the dice on them, see where it goes. But right now, no.
It started so optimistic. You were rubbing your eyes. I thought you were tearing at the prospect of owning United players, but it all just went in the end. I'm struggling with it because, like, if I just sort of look at the cold hard numbers, Bruno looks like a solid pick. It's not just these numbers, not just predicted odds. Look, even his stats last season are pretty decent, considering where United were. And if you make the reasonable assumption that they won't be as bad as they were last season because the only way is up, then by definition, he should be better. They don't have Europe, so 1 game a week, nothing else to do, can purely focus on the league. They ought to go head to head, even the bigger teams. Like, I think they could do something against Arsenal in game week 1. So with all that in mind, my only issue with picking Bruno is just fixtures in general don't look great, and 9 million is a lot when I could use that and get a lot of other people, right? Palmer, Saka, as you can see in this list, Haaland and Salah and Watkins and all these other guys. It just feels like a lot. Let's talk about mids though in general, right? Okay. Now, you obviously have Salah because you're not crazy, right?
No, I don't have Salah or Haaland, which is why I don't feel Bruno's price is high. Honestly, I think if you look at it in a vacuum, 9.0 is fair for what Bruno offers. Talisman of the team, pen taker, set pieces, goals and assists. You only feel that it's expensive because all your budget's used up on, on other expensive players.
Man just casually mentioned, 33 minutes in, doesn't own Salah and Haaland. Okay, so let's hear this out, okay? Because
Which is why I have
Haaland, you
so much
could kind of sell me. Salah, I mean, come on, mate. He is, look at him. He's second on this chart. He's going away for AFCON, and he's still second on this chart for goals and assists across the season. So what are you doing here?
Principle. I just don't like to own the most expensive player in the game every year.
Okay. I mean, I'm not gonna say sound principle. I mean, can you give me more of a basis? Sell me more on this, because I've seen a couple of people who really want to pursue this no premium draft, right? You got to give more to me than that.
No, I think if you are of sound mind, you should have either one of Salah and Haaland. I think having both is overkill. Too much of your budget into two players. Having one though, I think you should. That is the advice I would give people.
Yeah, but it's not the way you want to play this.
Yeah. Which is why I'm only top 10%, Siva, and I don't have an actual number below my name.
Okay, fair. So Salah's been the worst of my drafts just because I don't want to be battling that level of EO that early.
And also they have good fixtures to start.
I'm actually just bored about Game Week 1 because Bournemouth look awful. They have looked awful consistently in all preseason games. They have sold their entire backline and their keeper. So the only guy they kept at their backline was the right back who nobody wanted to buy because he's like 35 years old. So yeah, I'm really worried about Game Week 1. If anything, I'm worried that I don't have enough Liverpool attack in Game Week 1.
Yeah, I hear you, Siva. Which is why I have Cody Gakpo.
So let's talk Cody Gakpo, right? And obviously, rest in peace, Diogo Jota. Very sad news. Since Luis Diaz has also left, so I assume Cody Gakpo is nailed until Isak signs. Is that what we're thinking?
I mean, even if Isak signs, right? The only worry is that he may share minutes with Hugo Ekitike. Am I getting that right?
Well, I don't think you need to rush through Ekitike, but yes, sure. Yes, you go ahead.
Yeah, who has looked good, to be fair, in preseason games. Hugo has looked good, but so has Gakpo, and I think Slot likes Gakpo. So I would expect him to start at least in the first few games to have nailed down that left wing spot.
Have reached the conclusion that Slot likes Gakpo because what, they're both bald and from the Netherlands. So
No, even last season, right? He played Gakpo a lot.
Yeah, his returns were decent though last season. I mean, but yes, he shared a lot of minutes with the other options, and they are not here. So logic seems to be that he should get more minutes this season. That's my feeling. And Harvey Elliott also being linked away.
Yep. And at 7.5, I think that's a steal for what he can potentially offer.
It also feels like a gamble that is worth having, like 7.5. Like you've got options to go away. Morgan Rogers, 7 mil. Like that can be your exit plan if you need to. There are other people also you could consider. Okay, so we spoke Salah, we spoke Bruno, Palmer and Saka. Now Palmer's been in all of my drafts, and Saka's not been in any since maybe the first draft I made. Does that make sense?
Same for me, actually. I had Palmer and Saka for a lot. Then I was just kind of turned off by Arsenal's fixtures. Now, I do think Arsenal is a good team. And I have this gut feeling that all of us not having Arsenal players will come back to bite us. Especially Arsenal defenders. Because it's those hard games where they go 1-0 and that's it, where they really tighten up. But just, at the start of the season, all you have really is fixtures. That's the only thing you have to go on, right?
Yeah, I'm with you. I also have this nagging doubt. What I'm trying to comfort myself by saying that maybe Saka loses pens to Gyökeres, but it's not like as if Arsenal were winning a lot of pens. If anything, we complained a lot about not getting pens. So I'm not sure what that does.
And I think Saka also has proven over the seasons that he's not a flat track bully. Like his returns do come from big games and against lesser teams. It just comes all the time.
He just takes over, right?
I do feel like it will come back to bite us. But at this moment, Saka's not in my team.
Yeah, and Cole Palmer went like 3 months without an open play goal, and we're all sort of conveniently ignoring that because he scored in the Club World Cup. But I mean, this can definitely go very wrong, I think.
So I agree.
hopefully the fixtures bail us out here. But at least Palmer's an easy route to Saka when that if needed. Going down the list, you didn't mention Florian Wirtz. So I guess Gakpo, what, just for the saving, or is it the profile of player? Because Wirtz had more assists last season, but it's Bundesliga. So
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people saying that Wirtz is gonna be an hockey assist, right? Assister kind of thing. However, I don't think that will be the case because throughout his career, he has had really good actual goal contribution numbers. Whether
so
it
did
be in,
Timo Werner, mate. I mean,
yeah, but even in the Champions League, in Europa League, in every league he plays. So I think he will be in and around it. I just feel, again, going back to my whole, I have a few principles in FPL, especially when it comes to Game Week 1. And one of it is to try your best to avoid newly signed players. Because, he may start straight away, but it may take him some time to gel with the team and, start bringing in the attacking returns that you expect.
okay, fair. I'm no arguments there. I feel the same way as well. So newly signed players, no. How about recently signed players? January signing Omar Mamouche in.
Yeah,
Since you've
he's
already said no to
in
the
my
other
team.
Egyptian,
He is in my team. Mostly
you're not
because
concerned that he's going to play in midfield all the time.
I am very concerned, but who knows? City has been really, really secretive about their preseason. I don't know if you noticed.
Yeah, it's all like closed door nonsense. Yeah. You don't even
So
get
no
like
one really
the
knows.
team sheet. You just get random names. Some of these people have featured.
Yeah. And they have good fixtures, so that's the thing. I think everyone wants to get in on the City attack at least.
Yeah, but they've also
And if
signed like
you're-
500 people, Sam.
Yeah, I know. So that it is a worry. He is in my current draft. I don't know if he'll survive right to the end. But yeah, Marmoush. I mean, a lot of people are saying, Reinders. Am I pronouncing that right?
Yes, Tijani Reinders. Yes.
Yeah. Who again actually has pretty solid goal contribution numbers.
In AC
However,
Milan,
again,
obviously.
yeah, but still. And at 5.5 may be a steal, but we don't know for sure, right? I have really no idea. Ryan Cherky is there. Will he start every game? And Pep does have a habit of not. I don't want the slender Pep, but he does have a habit of taking creativity out of creative wingers.
Oh, you're falling for all this anti-Pep propaganda. I see. Every time a keeper messes up, Pep has ruined football. I see some rando on Twitter posting. Oh, Sam, don't be like that, man.
No, I mean, I think that he's a great manager, right? But it's just his style of play is just not conducive for creative midfielders. And as time goes by, they tend to become less and less creative. It's not an isolated observation, okay? Like it's happened with so many players.
Just because Foden gets distracted, just because Grealish can't stop partying, I mean, that's not Pep's fault, okay? Look at De Bruyne, look at Aguero. I think if the player subscribes to the theories that Pep wants to do and develops, I think Pep's got a decent enough track record. And when they're not good enough, they don't step up to the mark, then they just become sort of cogs in the unit.
Yeah.
I think the big issue with Marmoush is they have too many options for me, Sam. They have Bernardo, Savinho, Foden, Doku, Grealish, if he ever gets back in, McAtee, Bob, Oscar Bob, Cherky, yes. I mean, any of these guys could start.
Yep, I agree. Same with the defense, honestly, right? I don't know who is his starting, aside from Guardiola, who you would expect, but will Aït-Nouri immediately come in? There's also Akanji. What about Ake, who's still there? Kusanov did pretty well and then got dropped last season. Matheus Nunes is now a defender. Ruben Diaz is still there, so has a chance. Rico Lewis as well played a lot, majority of the games last season, right? 21 starts. So
yeah, and Pep's come full circle, right? He started off by wanting to play fullbacks, then he wanted to play 4 center backs. Now he's bought some fullbacks. God knows, man. Yeah, I mean, City's a bit of a minefield, I think. So that's why Marmoush, although I've tinkered with him, he's not making, I think, my final team. Going down the price, I mean, too many uncertainties with Eze, I think you don't know if he's playing for Arsenal or Palace. Knowing Arsenal's luck, probably Palace.
I
Spurs
think
mids.
I think Gordon looks really good. Oh, we didn't talk really about Newcastle defenders as well. Again, because of the bad fixtures, I guess everyone's avoiding them. But they actually have a lot of their defenders at 5 mil, which could end up being a steal.
They do. Livermore was 5, yeah.
Yeah, Hall is 5, Livermento's 5, Trippier is 5. I think some of them are injured to start with, so that's okay, I guess. So it gives us time to look at their fixtures, and once it turns, then we can start hopping on Newcastle players. I am very tempted by Gordon, I have to say, 7.5. If Isak, I don't know what's happening to Isak, but if he doesn't play and they don't get to sign Sesko, maybe, then Gordon played up front in their last preseason game and looked really good. And he has played up front, a few times when Isak was injured and things like that. He returns well, and when he's on the wing, he returns well. I would think he's still on the first name in the team sheet. 7.5, I like Gordon.
Interesting. I think that's the first person I've heard who's said anything nice about Gordon. I think Newcastle just the vibes, but vibes sometimes are not really important in FPL. And the fact that they can't seem to sign anybody means that the guys they do have should get good minutes. So, yeah, I don't mind that Gordon shout at all. First 2 games a little tricky, but after that gets pretty okay. And yeah, if he's guaranteed 90 minutes now, that's not bad at 7.5.
Yep. Going down further, I don't know. I thought about Gibbs White. Then, does he even want to be there? I don't know. I mean,
The man's been blackmailed. Family's probably being held hostage somewhere.
And again, they have not scored a goal in preseason. Kind of worries me a bit.
No, I mean, Forest attack is not. I mean, even it will come to strikers, but unfortunately, a certain Forest attacker is not making it back into my team. Morgan Rogers. Okay, we're down at 7 mil. Morgan Rogers has been in 99% of my drafts. I don't care what people say. Like, this man is made out of adamantium. He plays every single minute. Emery loves him. He plays more minutes than Ollie Watkins. He's Morgan Rogers, and last season was his first season in the Prem, and he was already cooking. Like, he can only get better.
Yeah, I like Rogers. I think 7.0 is still worth. I mean, he started at 5 last season. He was a steal. At 7.0, not really a steal, but not overpriced either. I think it's very fair value for what he can bring. And nailed.
Fair value.
I like Rogers.
Yeah, I have zero concerns about rotation. I learned that the hard way. Like, kept thinking, oh, he's going to be benched this week. Never happened. So yeah, Rogers for me, a very easy pick. 6.5, and I do have someone who has made my team. Sam, can you guess who it is?
Kudus?
No, not okay. Kudus. I am tempted. Because obviously Burnley in game week 1. Despite you hating preseason, Sam, I have not been impressed by preseason with Kudus, and I'm just a little wary of Spurs getting the attack right. Because for all Thomas Frank's qualities, he is very much a defense-first kind of guy. He's Tony Pulis with better PR, basically. He sets up the defense very well, and then spams throw-ins and corners, and then anything else is a bonus. So I kind of want to see where Kudus ends up. Of course, they're losing Son. Solanke hasn't played a minute so far. So kind of want to wait and see on their attack.
So if it's not a Spurs player, who else is there? Enlighten me, Siva.
6.5 million African attacker. So you were close. But it's not Kudus. It's Iliman Ndiaye.
Oh, okay. My next thought was actually going to be Amad Diallo. But I was like, there's no way Siva's going there.
I did have him for his hat-trick last season, but no, not yet. Again, kind of want to wait and see. But Iliman Ndiaye has been in most of my drafts. I get it. He's an Everton attacker. It's not sexy. But again, it's an Everton attacker team that sucks at attacking. So he's basically the only person who can do anything. Beto has regressed back to what everybody knew Beto was. So I like Iliman Ndiaye. I think recent opening fixtures look decent. He scored 9 goals last season. He should be on pens. No Calvert-Lewin as well, so he gets the pens. I like him.
Interesting. It's a good shout, Siva. I like it. I like your hipster picks. I like it when you do hipster picks.
I must confess, it's not that hipster, Sam. It's just that you're not on Twitter enough. It's becoming very mainstream, unfortunately.
12% ownership. That is pretty high for an Everton attacker. I have a Spurs midfielder. Right now it's Brendan Johnson, but I'm aware that he may be injured and stuff like that, and maybe lose his place to Kudus. So I've not decided who it will be, but I think I will have a Spurs midfielder. Kudus has, new signing, so that's that negative to him in my mind. So maybe Matis Tel, who is not new but a recent signing, at 6.5. Seems pretty cheap, so I may go there. But again, I'm not entirely convinced. I'm not, 100% dead set on having a Spurs attacker. I just, good fixtures, right? And I think mostly maybe it's just a Game Week 1 fixture at home against Burnley. Like,
Yeah,
I just want to
very
roll
green,
the dice
doesn't
on
it?
one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can understand. And we'll talk about bench boost later because I do have a bit more Spurs coverage in a bench boost draft that I will be showing you, Sam. Beyond 6.5 mids, for me, Elliot Anderson has sneaked into my draft yesterday after he managed 19 recoveries in a 0-0 draw. I don't even know if that's true, but that's the stat I saw online, so I'm going to go with it. Averages 13 recoveries per start. 13 DEFCONs per start. That looks crazy, and he's 5.5. Ticks over. Hopefully, you get the occasional goal or assist. I quite like it.
I saw that he's been really popular on Twitter right now. Like, he's the DEFCON darling.
Yeah.
However,
that's
I don't know. 5.5 just feels a bit high for me. Even
How
that,
much cheaper can he be?
I would consider if he was 5, and I would consider it even stronger if they followed the Champions League method, where it's like for every 3 or 4, then the points can keep increasing. But because of that just 2-point cap, I'm not so keen. And midfielders need 12. Yes, he's averages above 12, but it's not going to happen every single game, right? He can't get 38 DEFCON returns. That'll be insane. But
it requires a certain level of patience, which I'm not sure I will have when it comes to the right time. I agree.
I think 5.5. I've never liked any players at 5.5. I feel like it's such an awkward price range. Like 4.5 and 5, you consider them your 5th midfielders. 5.5 feels too expensive to be a 5th midfielder, but too cheap to be a 4th midfielder. If that makes sense.
Fair. I mean, you're just not on board with the concept of it, which I can totally get. Because about 2 days ago, I wasn't. And then I started looking at numbers and I sort of swayed myself. Also because he's at such a nice price point. He enables a lot of stuff, as you will soon see, Sam. But we'll get there.
Okay. Fair.
I do not see any other midfielders I want.
I think a lot of people have been talking about Daniel Malen, who is also 5.5, but I'm not entirely convinced. Yes, he has a bit less competition compared to last year, but at the same time, there are still a lot of competition. So I don't think he will start every game, and therefore no goal for me.
Benched by game week 2. I mean, I'm calling it now. And they just yesterday have signed Evan Guisson. Pardon my French. 30 million French attacker. I mean, born in France, plays for Côte d'Ivoire, from Nice, and who can play striker and right wing. Now, that may not affect Marlon directly. Marlon's been playing on the opposite wing, but still, I think his minutes were not secure at all last season. So, to me, it'd be bizarre. Same manager, suddenly he becomes nailed. Like, it's not like as if Daniel Malen has evolved rapidly over preseason. I think it's just because a lot of people left, right? Asensio left, Rashford left, so there's been some space for him. But other guys have come back. Buendia has come back. Leon Bailey still kicking around. I'm just not keen to sign up for that.
I agree. Other than that, looking at the list, 5.5. I know a lot of people have been talking about Harry Wilson for Fulham, but I'm not entirely convinced. I mean, come on, guys.
Again, one of those, right? Guys. Like, he'll have like 1 or 2 weeks where he's playing like Pele, and then he'll be back to the bench like before you know it. Just not for me.
I talked about Raniers earlier, but again, just to highlight again, he is 5.5. So if he does nail his place and gives the attacking returns, like what he did last season, maybe a bargain, 5.5. Going down, I, Siva, have an ex-Arsenal legend at 5.0.
Oh, legend is very generous. Fan cult favorite, I think, is about as high as I will go.
You're just a hater, Siva. Like everyone at Arsenal who did not appreciate him until he left. That's Granit Xhaka, who, again, I am breaking one of my principles of not having a new signing in. But I think if a small team signs a player like this, he starts straight away, right? And probably talismanic in the team. Based on what we see in preseason, he takes all the set pieces. 5.0. A lot of people have said his DEFCON stats are not that good, but that's comparing with his last season in Leverkusen, who are more of a possession-based team, so there's not many opportunities anyway. And I feel if you want a bench option and you're willing to go up to 5, then it's as good as it gets, I guess.
That's a very reasonable take from you, Sam, I must say. Like, I can't knock any of that. I mean, yeah, it's 5 mil, and you expect the DEFCONs to go up, and he's nailed. Most expensive signing. They have to kind of stay up this season. They look like they're trying to stay up. They've made some decent purchases. I don't think it will work out for Sunderland because it just looks like a Frankenstein kind of squad, like when you look at the 11. But if he gets the minutes and he gets the DEFCONs, you don't really care what happens to them.
Yeah. And odd assists here and there from taking every single set piece, which also should mean higher bonus capabilities. Maybe.
All 5 points.
Maybe. Other than that, that's it.
right.
There's no one else you would want, I think.
So as we come up to the hour mark, Sam, let's try and speed along. Forwards. Okay, look. I'm sorry. All forwards, except for maybe one, all forwards suck this season. Okay, I'm just going to say it out there, right? There's nobody I would touch at 5.5 million. Like Leeds have a guy, but they want to replace him with another guy. So there's nobody I would touch. You go up to 6 mil. The only guy is Thiago from Brentford, who's never played in the Premier League, was injured the whole of last season. And Johan Wissa's still employed. So who knows?
Hang on. I just want to say at 5.5, Muniz is 5.5.
And Raul Jimenez still exists.
Yes. But 2 seasons ago, he was in everyone's team. Last season, maybe unlucky with injuries here and there, and he was rotated with Jimenez. Jimenez is getting older. Muniz still young, still loves fishing.
Not
Who
going
knows?
near them, man.
I mean, we're not starting with him, but he could be an option as the
unless Raul Jimenez is locked up, deported or something. That's a very bad joke. I don't want him to be deported. He's a very nice man. But unless Raul Jimenez leaves Fulham, I ain't going anywhere near Muniz because I've been there and I've seen it. And Raul Jimenez is always just one bad Muniz performance away from getting back into that team. Because Raul Jimenez is still really good. Like he still cooks when he starts. And
that is true.
He can take a really good free kick. He's good on pens. So no, not for me, Sam. And at the 6 million mark, as I said.
Before I move on, can I just shout out a player at 5.5 who is not relevant for FPL terms, but I just really like his name. Like Sunderland has a striker called Isildur.
I'm pretty sure it's Isidore, man.
Close enough, man. And I just completed a rewatch of the whole Lord of the Rings, so when I saw it, it's all I could think of.
Yeah, you can practice your shout as your points go away,
Okay, moving on.
So 6 mil, I'm not sold. Nicholas Fulkrug is about the only person I'm mildly considering, but again, he's been so injury prone, and they've got Callum Wilson as backup.
But here's the thing, though. Now, before he moved to West Ham, Fulkrug almost never got injured. So he had an unlucky season last year where he did. From what I read online, people who follow him before were really surprised how injury really affected his season last year. Now, preseason, he has been starting. And at 6 may end up being a bargain. But I think at the moment, it's safer to just go up for Bowen, who I'm sure we will cover as it goes. But I'm just saying, he may turn out well.
I mean, that's the issue with Fulkrug, right? You are 2 million off getting the guy who will play every minute, who will almost never gets injured, always shows up, is the talisman, like the entire team revolves around him. More importantly, the guy who plays 90 minutes, like even if Fulkrug stays fit in these preseason games, he's still coming off because by definition you want to protect him. Jared Bowen, no such concerns. So again, I've tinkered with Fulkrug in some drafts, but I feel like you got to go up.
Plus, at the
6.5.
end of the day, they all play for West Ham, so it may end up really bad.
True, he still play for West Ham United. 6.5 million. Danny Welbeck again. Every season we do this, right? He's got to be finished. He proves us wrong.
Apparently, I know I haven't really been following Brighton's preseason, but apparently he has not really been starting a lot of their preseason games.
He had a
And
knock,
they actually-
apparently.
Yeah, and they've been playing Rutter up top. So who knows? Who knows? Like we may get an OP option there. But yeah.
So again, nobody you really consider 6.5. You go up to 7, and I don't see anybody. You go up to 7.5. You finally get some options, but
7 you have Evan Nielsen, who Bournemouth, I mean, they have a bad first fixture, but after that it kind of turns for them. And he was pretty good last season in patches.
Yeah. More of an assist merchant, right?
Yeah, but still, I think a 7 may be good if you can stomach that first fixture, which I'm guessing most people can't.
To be fair, I didn't mention Strand Larson. So Jürgen Strand Larson, I am interested. 6.5, bad first fixture, but otherwise very good, decent value.
Yeah. All right. Moving on, going up to 7.5, and this is when options finally appear.
You say that, but I've got some issues with all these options. Sam. Why don't you tell me what the options are? I'll tell you why they're not good options.
Okay. Solanke, if he recovers in time. Now, we don't know that for sure, but if he does, by the time we do this pod next week, if he's fit, would you consider Solanke?
Hasn't played a single minute of preseason. We're 1 week away. So unless he's playing like full 90s, which he's not, right? I mean, would you want to take that chance? They have other options. They've got Richarlison, still very expensive. They did pay a lot of money for him and he's not leaving. So why go there?
Okay, fair. Chris Wood. I mean,
Again,
besides the fact that Forest has not scored a single goal in preseason.
I think they scored one, like in the very first game, and Chris Wood did score it, to be fair to him. But again, so Forest, you expect some drop off in the attack, especially. There was already drop off towards the end of last season.
Right?
Without Elanga. Although I will say Dan Ndoye, who they've signed from Bologna, is very good, and everything I've seen suggests he will be good. But they've also signed another striker who is currently playing behind Chris Wood as a number 10, Igor Jesus. Played at the Club World Cup for Botafogo and did well. I think he scored the winner against PSG, if I'm not wrong. So Chris Wood, not saying his days are numbered, but it again feels like some level of uncertainty. And they've got Europe, so somebody's got to play the European games, and I don't think Chris Wood can play 290s every single week.
Okay, fair. Mateta, but we've already covered. Good player, right? But Palace, I think there's a lot of question marks as a whole, especially rotation and everything that we've already talked about.
Rotation, Europe, and Eze, all question marks.
Yeah. João Pedro.
Been in some drafts. My confusion basically is Chelsea have 50 people and continue to sign people, and so that scares me. But his ownership is stupidly high, by the way. It's like 50%, and so that shouldn't influence you, but it is kind of scary because on the one hand, yeah, sure, if he flops, fair enough, price drop. But if he scores a hat trick on game week 1, you're gonna look like an idiot.
And at the same time, they did really spend a lot of money on Leon Delap as well, who is 6.5. And who knows? João Pedro might start because they're both young. You see, it's no hierarchy there in actual fact. I would say by the end of the season, I have no idea who will be their actual starter. It may be Delap, it may be Pedro, it may flip-flop between the two of them throughout the season. So a lot of uncertainty.
And that kind of brings us up to Bowen. And Bowen is the first person who I can sit here and tell you, yeah, I know he's going to play. I know what I'm going to get from him, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I mean, I really like Bowen. I think I still kind of regret not getting him in any point last season, especially when he started bringing a lot of points in the second half. So yeah, I like Bowen.
Of course, he's being changed from a midfielder to a forward, so he's going to lose some points for the goals scored, but he should get a bit more bonus because forwards do better on bonus when they score. He's not on pens, fortunately. Lucas Paqueta, well, I mean, for him anyway, has
Maybe.
beat the rap. So
But
he
apparently
stays on
City
bench.
are really interested in Paqueta. So that may still happen.
Okay, so maybe
City
don't.
is like gonna have 10 midfielders soon.
I had to go to the second page of the site just to tell you the list of people I just said. So I mean, okay, so that happens. That's great because then Bowen on pens is very interesting. But still, 8 mil I think is a reasonable price. It is neither great nor perfect, but it's okay.
Yeah. Especially considering his pedigree. I mean, he has done the business in the Premier League for a few seasons now, right?
Yeah, so it's just one of those. You don't care even about fixtures, right? You just lock him in. He will take over. Beyond that, so Ollie Watkins, because you're coming up to
Watkins in my team.
9 now.
Yeah. He's in my team.
Okay, so tell me on that because I'm a little concerned about Watkins, but let me hear why he's in your team.
I mean, it's proven goal scorer, Premier League pedigree. No more Rashford, so he shouldn't be rotated off anymore. And this all assuming he stays in Villa. There is a chance he gets signed, in which it may be even better, if he signs for another team and nails his place even further. And pretty good fixtures to start with. I don't see many negatives except for his price. 9 mil is kind of expensive, especially if you spend all your budget on Salah or Haaland. But yeah.
But not a problem you have. Okay, so fair enough. Because all my concerns, I mean, you've raised already. The Rashford thing was very annoying. The Durant thing was very annoying, and now they've signed Gisson. So I assume this Emery before long will start doing the same nonsense of subbing Watkins off, playing him as Watkins didn't start their Champions League quarterfinal against PSG. Like Emery
Yeah.
fell in love with Rashford so much that he just threw Ollie Watkins out. And so I don't know, man. Like the only reason Watkins got his place back was because Rashford got injured.
Fair. But then he scored, and then he started doing pretty well again once he came back into the team.
I don't know, man. It's like somebody who's they cheat on you, they go have an affair. Can you really trust them just because the other person left? Like I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's fair points, especially at the price. Maybe you might feel that that's too much uncertainty for a 9 mil player. For me, it's mostly the fixtures, good fixtures, and the lack of options at forward. So
Yeah, because I think we've reached the end of our conversation because I'm not going for Gyökeres, although I love Arsenal. 9 million. He has only played like 10 minutes of preseason, so I think it's too soon. Kind of need to see a bit more. Need to see him displace Havertz, get some games in, and then you're not touching Isaac. You're not touching Ekitike, I assume. And after that,
and then
you're
there's
straight up to Haaland.
So yeah, really. So in a way, it's good that imagine if they did not move Bowen to forwards. Literally, we'll have no one.
Pretty
Play
much,
like
yeah.
a
Forwards.
4-5-1 formation or something like that.
Yeah. So with that in mind, let's get to drafts, right? And I've done some for the benefit of those who have stayed away from the templates. I've done what is relatively template draft just to show you what it looks like. Okay. Sanchez in goal, double Forest defense. You could modify that with somebody else. Van der Ven, Endai, Gakpo, Palmer, Salah, Rogers. More template would be to get Bruno instead and downgrade perhaps one of the attackers, which is Bowen and Watkins. Because I sat and thought about like who do I feel comfortable with start every week, and assuming this is before the Gisson signing, but I thought Watkins and Bowen, and then on the bench you've got Chris Richards and some NPCs. This feels very boring and very safe. Would you say, Sam?
Yeah, I mean, there are a few Indai who is pretty highly owned, but at the same time, only 12% still a differential, so still a bit of spiciness there. Rogers as well, I think, is being overlooked in a lot of teams. but the rest of it fairly template, I guess.
Yeah, on the spice level, I say lemon and herb kind of draft. Okay, now let me give you something more spicy, Sam, because I have been, as you can tell, I've had some free time, and so I have a bench boost draft. And now let me sell you on bench boost just in general, right? Before I get to the team, because you can see the team on the screen, and if you're listening, I'm going to make you go and watch the team now, because I don't want to read out all these names because I feel like I will be judged. But let me sell you on why I think bench boost gaming one is a good idea. First of all, this is a stupid chip, right? Like bench boost every year, the most stupid chip. We break our team to play it. We don't make transfers. We make stupid transfers. We hold on to people for so long. We use up value on our bench just to play that one time, and then we mess it up anyway, right?
Fair. On top of
No
that,
double.
there tends to be a lot of rotation when we save it for double game week.
So much rotation, right? You save it, and then it doesn't happen. Furthermore, very few double game weeks. In fact, Baron Krellin doesn't expect any doubles within the first half of the season. So, short of King Charles, His Majesty, doing something unexpected, like we're not expecting fixture postponements, right? So, to me, I get this stupid chip out of the way when I still have a wildcard to fix all the damage I'm doing to my team. And if you look at my draft, I virtually have the same draft as I showed you just now. Very templatey with a couple of sacrifices. Instead of a 5 million keeper, I've got two 4.5s. Fair enough. And instead of, say, having a Gakpo, I've had to downgrade to get Welbeck instead. Now, that could be somebody else. That could be if Solanke is fit, Solanke will be jammed in, and Watkins can be downgraded to João Pedro, for example. Like, I think this is an acceptable bench boost gaming one, bearing in mind that Spurs play Burnley and West Ham play Sunderland. And that takes care of a lot of it.
Are you planning to wildcard game week 2?
No, I think this is a draft that I could live with for a few weeks because there isn't like, okay, I got a couple of 4.5 defenders that I wouldn't normally have, and I got a 4.5 keeper, and then I've got Elliot Anderson. It's not like I've got so much money tied up. Like, who am I missing out? Arsenal players?
Okay. Fair. I think that's fair, right? Like it is a bench boostable team, but at the same time, after the bench boost, you can still live with this team. Like it's not a lot of value tied up in a bench.
Yeah. I've seen some people take it to the extreme, which is bench boost game week 2, which heavily relies on Burnley and Sunderland players because they play each other. And to me, that seems like it's too far because at least I expect West Ham to beat Sunderland. I expect Spurs to beat Burnley. I have no idea what's happening between Burnley and Sunderland, mate. Could be 5-5, could be 0-0. I don't know. And I don't really want to know.
Yeah, I agree. Fair. In fact, Siva, I am also highly considering and will most likely play bench boost game week 1. Mostly for the same reasons as you. I think in previous seasons, we've always tied up and kept a lot of players who we don't necessarily want in our team simply because they got a double coming up. We want to bench boost them. So I think this is the prime time in terms of team planning, right? It's the best option, especially because we got 2, right? If this doesn't work out, no, it's fine. I'll get another one like in the second half of the season.
Yeah. I'll say one more thing, right? In fact, the fact we have to makes it more important to play it now because let's just say you do the normal thing, which is you wait until the first wildcard and then set up for the bench boost. Now you do that, you then have to live with that team all the way up to your second wildcard because we've got 2 bench boosts to play this season. So unless you're planning to burn your first bench boost, you have to run with a bench boosted team for a good 5 to 10 weeks. You're carrying all that value on the bench. Whereas you do it now, you get it out of the way. First wildcard is in a few weeks' time, maybe 6 weeks, maybe 10 weeks, and then you're clear until the next bench boost.
Yeah, agree. And just as a devil's advocate, I will give the cons of bench boosting in game week 1. So I think number 1 is that sometimes unexpected things happen in game week 1. For example, Welbeck suddenly not starting. We've mentioned a lot about the uncertainties in a lot of teams. So that can come back to bite you. But at the same time, if you just pick, players who probably will start like Bowen, Watkins, Rogers, then you should be fine. You can avoid this. The other cons is that in game week 1, your team value will most likely be the lowest it can be. Right? So you only got 100 mil. If you play it in, I don't know, game week 18, 19, you can have an extra 1-2 mil there maybe. So that is the argument against it. However, I feel from a team planning perspective, Game Week 1 is the most optimal time to do it.
I fully concede team value could be bigger. You don't know what will happen in the future. So therefore you could afford a better team. But I struggled, knowing what we know today, I struggle to see that ever being the case. Like the guys who we mentioned are not options, probably will continue to be options, and they're mostly at a higher price bracket. So unless Salah or Palmer or Haaland get injured, like nothing here is really moving me. Now that could happen, sure. But I think just knowing what we know now, I would like to get the chip out of the way. But let me sell you on one last draft, Sam, because you did say team value, right? And so something I did
Yes.
last season, right? You'll remember I had Haaland and Salah on the same team. And I told you my reason for it was I can only afford this team now, so I have to do it now. And it worked out pretty okay for me. So I have here a Haaland and Salah draft, Sam. And I think, if I do say so myself, I think it's pretty damn decent. Okay.
Haaland, Salah, and Palmer. I think if they add that in, it is significant.
Yeah. Okay. I got Sanchez in goal, double Forest defense, Van de Ven, Diouf, Konsa on the bench. So I think it's a very solid rotation. And Elliot Anderson, debatable, but they were in my main draft anyway. Palmer, Salah, Rogers, and Haaland. And to me, I stumbled on this last night, and this is my current team, and I'm kind of in love with it.
I mean, I kind of joked about it earlier about playing a 4-5-1 instead because there are just so few forward options. So, yeah, I think yes. Now the problem I feel with playing 4-5-1 is that you literally only have one bench option. But to some people, one is good enough, right? That's all you need.
I'll get Mark Guew when he joins Sunderland, 4.5 million striker, who Sunderland have signed on loan from Chelsea. Apparently, Chelsea have put in a clause that says Sunderland have to play him a certain number of minutes or they have to pay them money. They did something for Broja and Fulham just paid the fine, but I'm hoping Sunderland's owners are a bit more cheap and will actually play him. And I've got Ezri Konsa. And to me, yeah, I mean, who are these other strikers that I want? We just spoke for like half an hour and we agree there are no strikers.
Fair. Yeah, I think it's a viable option. With still, you have a really strong starting 11, I mean, all things considered, a strong starting 11.
Thank you. Yeah, the complete antithesis of what you were doing, Sam. But I feel like this is one of those. It looks viable to me, and more importantly, it will only be viable in Game Week 1. Like you are not going to afford this team in Game Week 2.
Yeah, fair. Okay, nice. So, have you decided yet, or are we gonna have to wait another week? Which one are you leaning most towards? Yeah,
I'm definitely leaning more towards this one because the bench boost one doesn't feel sexy. Like it feels practical, but it does not feel sexy. This, I look at it and like I'm turned on. Like this works for me.
I like that. I like that we're, because I will probably bench boost Game Week 1, and I don't want you to bench boost Game Week 1, Siva. So please do not go with Team B.
So let's look at your team, Sam, to wrap up. Now you haven't activated bench boost, but I take it that you will be doing so because it does look a very strong bench. And let me read it out. Sells, Kirkes, Ola Aina, Van de Ven, Johnson, Marmoush, Palmer, Gakpo, Wood, Bowen, Watkins. On the bench, Kelleher, Konsa, Shaka, Wan-Bissaka. Jared Bowen, captain, Game Week 1, Sam. I like it.
Yeah. So again, bench boost team, a lot of emphasis on Game Week 1 fixtures. There are some placeholders there. So for example, Kirkes could very well be Van Dijk. Haven't fully decided. He looked good in his previous outing. So we'll see. Aina could be moved up to Murillo. Johnson could be moved down to Tel. Marmoush may move up. And I think I did not mention this to you, Siva, but I have 3 million in the bank with this draft. No, I mean, like I said, it's a bust team, right? So I may move Marmoush up. I can move him up to Saka even. So I have not fully decided on everyone yet. I'm keeping that
I can
first.
see why you'd be. You'd be struggling, right? Because I mean, do you really need Saka with Marmoush against Wolves if he plays? Yeah, you'd be very happy.
Yeah, and then I'm happy to keep it in the bank, honestly. because then that gives me a lot of flexibility to move up and down depending on how game week 1, game week 2 goes.
I think you gotta have Bruno Fernandes, man. You got this much
Yeah,
cash.
yeah. So exactly. So I may move one of them up to Bruno, maybe not. Maybe I'll just keep it and bring Bruno in after the Arsenal game. There's a lot of flexibility here, but yet at the same time, it still looks very good for game week 1, even for a bench boost.
I think it looks solid.
Thank you.
And I think at least for game week 1, like I would take your captain against Salah. I think that's fair. I don't know about game week 2 onwards, but yeah, game week 1 looks okay.
I haven't even looked at game week 2 fixtures. That's a future me problem.
Should be the motto of the pod. Okay, so I think that's it for us this week, Sam. 120, one of our longer shows, but we'll be back next week and with a simpler final game week 1 preview. But in the meantime, Sam,
get your DEFCON points and your green arrows.
DEFCON points. Okay.